Have you ever had a snake get inside your house? We're talking about a snake in the house on this episode of the Driving with Rob podcast. This is the Driving with Rob podcast. I'm glad you could join me today. I am actually driving today, so you'll get to hear all the road noises and the rattles and creaks and the engine noises because I am actually driving as I'm recording this episode. But anyway, this is the story of the snake that got inside our house. Now, I don't know how you feel about snakes or how your family feels about snakes. We are not big fans of snakes, especially when they get inside my house. And my oldest son, as a matter of fact, hates snakes. He doesn't just dislike them, he hates them. It is a premeditated, I will kill it on sight if I see it kind of a guy when it comes to snakes. James once shot a little black snake, and it couldn't have been much more than half an inch in diameter. And he showed me the snake. And I said, "How many times did you shoot?" He said, 5. I said, "You hit this thing 3 times and barely missed it with the other 2 because I could see the ricochet marks in the concrete." He shot this snake on our driveway. And it wasn't like James was standing over top of the snake when he shot it. This young man hates snakes. He was at least 20 feet away and hit it 3 times. I said, that was some good shooting. I'm not deathly afraid of snakes. If I see the snake first, before he sees me, I'm usually okay with a snake. I don't like to be surprised by a snake. I don't like to step on one, as long as I see him first. And I will always give a snake a means of escape. Because in general, people who get bit by snakes get bit while they're trying to kill them. And I've always been kind of a live and let live kind of guy anyway. So if I could give that snake a means of escape, they will usually crawl away and not cause me any problems. But a snake inside my house, that's a whole nother ball game. But as it happened one day, many, many years ago, when the kids were little, my son Samuel had asthma at the time. Well, he comes running upstairs, out of breath, wheezing, and said, "Daddy, Daddy, Daddy." I said, "Calm down. Try to catch your breath." And he managed to get out the words, "Snake, snake." Well, I'm sitting in my recliner, chilling, watching some TV. Well, before I fold up the recliner, I want to get some more details. I said, "Where is it?" "Bathroom, downstairs." Okay, it's in the bathroom downstairs. "How big is it?" And he held his hands apart to indicate that it was about 2 feet long. I said, "Okay, I'm not dealing with an anaconda. This is not going to be a Marlon Perkins from Wild Kingdom moment. I'm not dealing with a 50-foot snake. 2 feet long, yeah, I can probably handle that." So I fold up the recliner at this point. And I said, "Can you show me?" Well, I went downstairs with him, and he stayed behind me, but he said it's in the bathroom. Well, he did have enough forethought to pull the bathroom door closed to contain our slithery friend in the bathroom. So at least it would stay in the bathroom. So I eased the door to the bathroom open. And like most people, after I ease the door open, first thing I do is look in the floor. Because I figure that's where it's going to be, right? It's going to be in the floor. So not wanting to freak out my son, I'm looking around, looking. Where did it go? And Samuel, who by now had kind of gotten his breathing under control, he says, it's right there. This snake was stretched out completely straight along the backsplash of the bathroom countertop, the bathroom sink. So I'm thinking to myself, do I reach out and just grab it? Because here this snake is, he's just relaxing, hanging out. I don't want to rile him up. Because if I reach for him and miss, what's going to happen next? Well, I had a 5-gallon bucket with a lid out in my workshop. So I go out to the workshop and I get this bucket. And my plan is to lay this bucket on the bathroom countertop on the vanity and let this little snake just flop himself off into the bucket. I put a lid on it and I'm done. So I slide the bucket up and the snake just lays there. He doesn't offer to get into the bucket. Well, I'd already determined that I didn't want to touch it. So I kind of lifted the front end of the bucket up a little and then took the lid from the bucket and kind of flipped him off into the bucket, covered him up. Snake is contained. Snake in the bucket. Well, I didn't want to kill it because it was a black snake. And black snakes are beneficial snakes, if there is such a thing. You may be one of these people who thinks there's no such thing as a beneficial snake. But black snakes, they're actually black rat snakes, are non-poisonous, not dangerous to humans, and they eat mice. Which, of course, leads to the next question. Do we have mice? Is that why the snake came in the house in the first place? But anyway, so I got the snake in the bucket. Well, down at the back of our lot is kind of a wooded area. So I carry the bucket at night down to the back of the lot and dump him out. And he slithers away and does his snake thing. So I came back in the house. Well, there are my 3 boys. The first boy, or the youngest boy, was just a toddler, so he had no idea what was going on. But the other 3 boys were very concerned and wanted to make sure that the snake had been dispatched. And I assured them that the snake was gone, that there wouldn't be a problem with the snake again. Well, of course, I lied to the boys and told them that I killed it. But I had the 3 older boys lined up, and I said, listen to me. When your mom gets home from the store, do not tell her that we had a snake inside the house. Because if Mom finds out that there was a snake in our house, you boys will be sleeping in the car tonight. Do not tell your mom. Well, an hour or so went by. Snake was gone. Everybody was calm. Everybody was back to normal. We saw Mom's headlights coming up the driveway. And I told the boys again, don't tell Mom. As soon as she opened the door, they ran to the door and said, Mama, 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 guess what? Mom only had 1 foot in the door. She pulled that foot back. She said, a what? Snake in the house, snake in the house. So she starts backing down off the steps. She said, did you kill it? I said, of course I killed it. She still stood on that top step for a long time before she finally came in the house. Are you lying to me? Or did you actually kill it? And just like when I was dealing with my own mom when I was a kid, yes, Mama, I killed it. Of course you lie. Because I didn't want to sleep in the car. I didn't want the kids to have to sleep in the car. Well, as it turned out, apparently the snake did try to come back. But this time the dogs got to it first. So the snake did ultimately attain ambient temperature. But it wasn't by my hand. But what I did to put everybody's mind at ease, the very next day, I went down to Lowe's and bought a can of expanding foam. The brand name of this stuff is Great Stuff. You spray it up into the holes and it swells up and it fills up the hole. So I sprayed this Great Stuff into every crack, every crevice. I had to crawl under the house to do it. Everywhere a pipe entered the house, everywhere a wire went up through the floor, sealed it up with this expanding foam, this great stuff. Because even if a snake didn't come back in there, the snake didn't come in there by accident. It's entirely possible that the snake was trying to find food, which meant we had a mouse somewhere. Well, I didn't much want this mouse in my house either. So I sealed up all the holes, and we've never had a snake since, and that was probably 20 years ago, 18 years ago at least. And we never had another snake in the house. But my son Samuel, who is now 28, just got married last year to a girl who had a pet snake. See, she had a snake in her house on purpose, which is just wrong. I think she had a little python or a little boa constrictor, whatever it was, but she had a snake in the house on purpose. And Sam married her anyway. The snake stayed at her mom and dad's house because Sam still don't want a snake in the house. And neither do I. But that's the story of the snake in the house. Thanks for downloading. Thanks for listening. I appreciate everybody who tuned in to listen. Make sure that you're a subscriber so that you're actually getting updates and notifications so that whenever I download a new episode, you'll get a notification to let you know. All right? You can listen to the Driving with Rob podcast wherever it is you go to listen to podcasts. You can tell your friends about it. Just tell them to do a Google search for the Driving with Rob podcast. I'm on Spotify. I'm on iTunes. Everywhere you go to look for podcasts, you'll find them. So tell your friends too. I would appreciate it. Thanks again. I'll talk to you next time. Bye now.